Rasuke here, and this is the response. This is the response to OvaryWatch. Yeah. Um wow, I didn't expect this much comments or anything like that. But I want to share some things with you. And I was even asked to watch the OvaryWatch showcase or spotlight or whatever it's called recently. So let me tell you this. I actually do not have a major problem with it being, I guess, gay and woman power and all of that. It's just that it feels like it's a bait and switch. The original Overwatch did not have this feeling whatsoever. And it's like as soon as it got to Microsoft, of all companies, it became this. This is not what I signed up for. So as you can see here, this is me. This is me and the wife and that sort of thing. So I wanted to share with some of you losers out there who, and I'm talking about the ones in the comments, not people who are just, curious to see what this is about. But those are more for the people in the comments and things like that. So I want to share a little bit. So that's the wife right there. We've known each other for a very long time and been together. Um, we can see here that she doesn't game as much as she used to, but yeah, she's a gamer. And if you recognize that jacket, it's the jacket from Kill from King of the Fighters. I'll show you that right here. Here she has the female version of it and that sort of thing. So pick that up from a Anime Expo, Comic Con kind of thing. Our whole house is decorated that way since we're both like that. So anyway, yeah. And there was a lot of people out there talking about, just wondering about me. This is me. You see pictures. This is me here, and I'm mostly a happy-go-lucky type of guy. Me and my wife are both STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Believe it or not, and yeah, we have a pretty good lifestyle. We have a lot of fun. We travel. I even collect. I'm starting to collect retro game systems and things like that. So, for the most part, I'm not this bitter person and that sort of thing. But even still, some think I have a problem with women. And as you look at me, I want you to look at me. Do you really think I have a problem with women? Do you really look at this guy? And I'm 6 foot tall. You know what I mean? Very confident, very charismatic, that sort of thing. And yeah, here's another picture here I want to show. Yeah. Here I am. Here's when we're girlfriend, and then these are all her. Look at the ladies that are surrounded. You know what I mean? Being around women have never been a problem, unlike some of you who cannot even have a situation like this. Um, Here's some else here. Yeah, so throughout my 20s, 30s, whatever, even till now, right? Always around women, no problem, things like that. So yeah, there's nothing wrong. And then, like I said, my wife is actually in the corporate world. A lot of the women that we know are in the corporate world and stuff like that. So I'm not one of these stay in the basement, have babies and all of that kind of stuff. In fact, those type of wives for me, and I'm speaking for me, would be kind of boring. I like someone who is doing something because I'm pretty proactive myself. So, how does this pertain to Overwatch and why I was upset? Well, first of all, I told you before it's a bait and switch. Here's the wife right here. I told you she's an islander. and and we both were excited for the new, Overwatch character, Maga, or whatever his name is, and he's a villain, which I've told you before if you watch the other video, which is upsetting. Then the black character, DoomFist, is also a villain, as well as the Hispanic guy. He's a villain, right? And it's just like all of these male characters are not inspiring whatsoever. Like I don't like their gameplay for the most part, and things like that, and what they represent. You know what I mean? As far as getting into the lore, certain characters I do like, but I've talked about it before. How all the female characters have all the better moves and the better attributes, so forth and so on, as part of the agenda, woman power, whatever. Like I said, but it didn't start off that way, right? And then this happened. Oh, excuse me there. I was asked to watch the showcase thing, and then this happened.
I agree.
Oh, sorry.
I agree.
Jeez.
You disappoint me. So close to vengeance. And now.
And you get the picture. He's defeated. We don't need to continue. You've seen it, right? You've seen it. And so that's why I came up with this right here. And it is none other than OvaryWatch. DoomFist defeated on Black History Month by this vendetta woman that just kind of like came out of nowhere. And yeah, this is totally just shows you how they value the male presence or power or anything like that, especially a black man. And that's what I care about. You care about your representation, I care about mine. So I have a point to voice my concerns. All this time you're talking about your concerns. Now I'm talking about my concerns, because the game was not built on this foundation. This is something new. And now that I know that it's something new and everything, I was just voicing my opinion for those of you out there who are being brainwashed or being subverted, that sort of thing. Let me tell you that OverWatch is not accepting, is not race friendly towards ethnic people and that sort of thing. Give me 1 second here. Let me clear my throat. Okay, so I cleared my throat for just a brief second. And so let me get this straight. DoomFist's weakness was his fist. But listen to what some other people have saying, and black people are starting to notice.
I just realized they're really about to make Doom take an L during Black History Month? Nigga, this is supposed to be our month. How you gonna let the nigga take an L? I just realized.
Yeah. Or this. And there are many more of these popping up.
What do you mean DoomFist is dead on Black History Month? Oh my god! Yo, what's good, y'all? I like black people. Hopefully you like black people too. Let's talk about black people. Actually, scratch that. Let's talk about how Blizzard decided to kill one of their coolest black characters during Black History Month, bro. This shit is ridiculous. So for y'all that don't know, as of 8 hours ago, Blizzard dropped this video, The Reign of Talon, that stars Vendetta. So in this animation, Vendetta's dad gets murked. This dude right here. And he was like some leader of like a mafia or some shit. And the mafia supported Talon, the main villain group of Overwatch. But as soon as this dude died, right, Talon came in, stole all the assets, kicked Vendetta out. Fuck you, right? And Vendetta, being a little bit peeved about that, 10 years later decides to go and challenge DoomFist, the leader of Talon. And in this video, Vendetta manages to speed blitz DoomFist, cut off his titular DoomFist, and then overpowered him
Really?
and threw this nigga out of a window.
Really?
During Black History Month.
Exactly.
Let me say that again. Vendetta overpowers DoomFist and kills it. If y'all are not immediately freaking the fuck out,
See?
y'all must have forgot who DoomFist was. Fought a 1v3 against Genji, Tracer, and Winston. Not picturing the image. Rocks Genji's shit so hard that that nigga, who by the way, cybernetically enhanced humanoid, is out of commission. Then, while he's fighting Tracer, you know, the girl who can teleport and time travel,
Right.
he manages to predict where she's going to be next, outspeed her, and rip the teleportation out of her
Yep.
brain.
Yep.
Goes head to head with an enraged Winston, the same Winston that gave Reaper trouble. Then after all that, after he gets presumably caught and thrown in jail, this nigga decides, hey, I'm tired of being in jail, and punches his way out of jail with no DoomFist. That was pure
Without
Oh, you're telling me, after all that,
without his DoomFist gauntlet.
beast of a man, who's Nigerian, by the way, you had to know they carry last, who can outpower a cyborg, outspeed a teleporter,
Right.
and go head to head with a gorilla while punching through concrete in base form, loses to this random woman with
Right.
no cybernetic upgrades and gets thrown out of a fucking window.
Right. So all my commenters answer that. Answer that. Oh.
Listen, y'all some sick motherfuckers, bro.
See? I'm not the only one. So answer that, commenters. Answer that. Because it's bullshit. Like I said, not friendly at all. And why this month? Why did they decide to do it this month? They could have did it in January. They could have did it in December. They could have did it in March or April. There's nothing else going on in April. Why? This month is supposed to be Black History and Valentine's Day. Love. It's supposed to be culture and love. But no. And here's another thing about Doomfist's lore. He's actually like literally the worst character in the entire game. You know, and don't bring me that shit about Zebra, who like has to do all these tricks to make him work, where you can just use, like I said, I could use Anna, I could use one of the healers, Zenyatta, somebody else, and get way more kills than Doomfist, because they're just easier to use. For some reason, they got to make the black character struggle hard, you know what I mean? But anyway, check this out.
DoomFist is a fraud. I thought this guy was going to be the main final boss of Overwatch, the BBEG of the overarching plot. But I guess the story team decided that he ain't shit. The hype behind DoomFist started before the game even launched. The Gauntlet, a weapon so strong that even in the hands of a fucking child, it could push Talon's agents away. And then his release trailer dropped. This motherfucker was fighting a 1v3 against Genji, Tracer, and Winston. He one-shot Genji. Somehow he was fast enough to see Tracer literally blinking through fucking time, grabbed her clone accelerator, and blew her fucking back out. And then he lost to Winston when he popped a Rager. But you know what? That's fair. You know, that's the good guys. The good guys always gotta win. So, you know, we could excuse that loss. He ain't on fraud watch yet. He still had aura. But that shit just changed. This motherfucker is a true fraud. He went from one of the most badass characters to fucking jabroni. The thing is, I can't tell if Vendetta is just that strong, but this motherfucker spent so much time just sipping wine and villain monologuing that he forgot how to fight. He started off the fight aura farming, grabbing her sword thinking he eyes it or some shit, and then he lands one hit and goes for the classic villain shit of sitting there and just shit talking her instead of finishing the fucking job. He lets her get up, give him some fucking paper cuts, and then he starts getting pressed. Then he talks even more shit just to get his fucking arm cut off. This is one of the craziest losses I've ever seen from any character that was put on such a high pedestal. Like, honestly, I doubt he's fully dead. He's probably gonna come back and be like, oh, I never died, some bullshit like that. But honestly, this L is going on his permanent record. It's never gonna be forgotten. He's on fraud watch now. DoomFist is a fraud.
And you hear that? He's a fraud. I mean, so once again, so even the villain now is what I said before is now terrible. You know what I mean? Is horrible. And don't get me on this like, well, you can't do anything for Black History Month, you know, Black culture, whatever. Well, looky here, they do something for the Chinese, right? Chinese New Year. We've also seen costumes that are from India. We've seen costumes from Japan, obviously. And we've seen other motifs from Western civilization, but nothing from African, nothing black or anything like that. Maybe a little bit of Hispanic mixed in there. But anyway, yeah, they don't. In here, shows you how much they do for Pride. You know, when it's the pronoun people's turn.
There's way more than I expected. Celebrating Pride in Overwatch 2. This is the first time Overwatch has actually acknowledged Pride. Beginning on June 1st, everybody that blogs in Overwatch 2 will receive an extensive collection of player icons and name cards for the whole month of June. You'll play on an updated Midtown map. Okay, that's pretty cool. And the confetti.
Oh,
Okay,
that's pretty cool.
Cosmetics. Whoa. Oh, what? Okay, this is way deeper than I thought it was gonna be. This is way deeper than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, these are so cool. Okay, I like these. I'm in.
We're into the agenda.
So Jesus! Spray. For years, players have speculated on the sexual orientations of Baptiste and Fair, so it's officially canon now. Pog. But to also publish a brand new short story focusing on their identities. There's way more than I expected. Celebrating Pride in Overwatch.
The whole month they did crap on that. Yeah, I said it. Because they've never done that for anyone that looked like me or anything, you know what I mean? Like they just went overboard on that shit. So, and now that, you know what I mean, DoomFist is gone, I got confirmation, you know? And let me close out by saying this. With Marvel Rivals, at least I got Blade, who's actually my favorite Marvel character. You know, I actually have a tattoo of Blade the Daywalker on this arm right here. It's right there, and some other like the glyphs. Like if you've seen the first Blade movie, it's right here on this arm, right over here. Yeah, on this side. Yeah, right. Starts about right there now. So we got Blade, right? And we got, where is she? We got Storm in Marvel Rivals. Very powerful. The art design on that, very, very awesome. I need to use her more, you know, that sort of thing. All right. And then last but not least is Black Panther in Marvel Rivals. And all three of these are represented very well and very positively in Marvel Rivals. And they're better than Baptiste, better than Lucio, better than DoomFist. Now, I would say that Black Panther is probably the weakest out of the three. And next to Black Widow, one of the hardest characters to play. It does take some technique. I wish they would give him a little bit more to his kid. He's actually very DoomFist-like, but at least he can connect up in the air diagonally, and he has much more movement. As far as, I would say, yeah, you got to get crazy with DoomFist with bouncing off of stuff. But if you're just talking about just sheer, you know, agility and the gameplay for Black Panther is better. It's just simply better. And better representation too. Like they got full on Wakanda, they got full on Blade stuff, they got full on Storm stuff. And who is doing this? The Chinese. That's the crazy part. Not even American developers. The ones that are here. You know, another thing that I like about Marvel Rivals too, they got this going on. They got actual couples. Maybe that's what I miss. You know what I mean? You got Rogue and Gambit, right? when we saw that, just reminds me of the comic book. You know what I'm saying? Then they also have, let's see, where is it? Let me find it. Oh, here we go. You got Reed and Sue Storm. There they are. And they're even in their wedding attire. You know what I mean? Showing couples. And I love all the details with the cake in there and the flower. You know, everybody's invited. It's just so much joy, love, stuff like that, you know. And then, let's see. And then last but not least, you got Black Panther and Storm, which is the classic, you know, couple there in Marvel Rivals from the comic books and that sort of thing. Much more positive, much more interesting. And so, yeah, I'm done. They even have, you know, cutesy things like this. You know what I mean? Where they're celebrating couples. So, you know, they might not do anything for Black History Month as far as Marvel Rivals, but let me tell you, if you look at just the content, the maps, the skins that they give for the Black characters, it's way more than Overwatch, because Overwatch doesn't give a shit about DoomFist as far as the skins. Or the only one they seem to kind of care about is Lucio. Baptiste is weak. He's boring to play with. The only one I really liked of anybody in my color hue or, you know, that sort of thing is probably Lucio. But like I said before, it's really bad. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So I had my piece. You know, I know this is kind of long, but hopefully, you know, you understand now my grievances with Overwatch or OvaryWatch, and that what I was saying before. It's this bait and switch. It's got gamers, and it's got a lot of woman power. Just too much estrogen, just overloaded with it. So you guys can have it. You guys can have it.
Why? I'm bisexual because the LGBTQ needs some kind of gayness in all of television and movies nowadays for reasons.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's pretty